Hey guys, welcome back to this video, and in today's video I will be introducing surds, so understand the basics of surds and how to simplify surds. So without any further ado, let's get this video started. Now, before we dive into our topic for today, I would like to point out that if anyone would like free maths resources such as cheat sheets, help sheets for different topics and videos, then please sign up in the comments section, so there will also be a link in the description. Also, if you would like to email me any queries, then this is my email, which I will also leave in the comment section and description box. The first thing we need to understand is, what are surds? Surds are square root numbers, but they are not whole numbers which can be square rooted easily, nor are they rational numbers, i.e. numbers which can be easily divided. So they are numbers which cannot be simplified that easy. So is there a formula to work this out? There's actually not a formula which we can use, but there are certain rules that we can follow which will help break down surds so that they are simpler. The rule is that we need to find all the factors of a given square root number and break it down like a factor tree or prime factorization, whichever terminology you are more comfortable with, until we can no longer simplify. So with that rule in mind, let's look at our first example. Question 1. Express the following surd in its simplest form. We're given the square root of 48, and we know that it's not a rational number because if we type this number into a calculator, we get approximately 6.9 as a rounded figure. So the first thing we need to do is think of two factors which multiply together and give 48. In this case, it is going to be 12 and 4, and that's what I am going to use. So we write the square root of 12 and we write the square root of 4. The reason why I chose these numbers is because it's easier to simplify a square root number, i.e. 4 is a square root number, which can be simplified completely. Nevertheless, whichever factor we choose, if we do it correctly, we will always get the same answer. So the square root of 4 will give us 2. Now that we've broken down this part completely, let's focus on the square root of 12. Again, we need to think of two factors which multiply together and give us 12. In this case, I choose the square root of 4 and the square root of 3. Let's do the easier one first. So square root of 4 gives us 2. And while there is nothing we can do about the square root of 3 because it's already in its simplest form, now we need to look at everything that's left over. So we have 2, square root of 3, and 2. The next step is important because we need to multiply all of these terms together. So let's start with 2 times 2, and we get 4, and then we multiply by the square root of 3, which gives us an answer of 4 square root 3. Since they are different terms, we cannot change the value of the square root of 3 by multiplying it by 4. So that is our final answer. Now let's move on to question 2. We need to express the square root of 72 in its simplest form. So once again, we need to think of two factors which multiply together to give 72. I chose the square root of 9 and the square root of 8. There are other combinations that you can choose, and if done correctly, you will get the same answer. But again, I chose these two numbers since it's easier to simplify when you have one number which is a square root number. So the square root of 9 gives us 3, and that completes that section. Then we have the square root of 8. So two numbers which multiply together to give us the square root of 8 are square root of 4 and square root of 2. Let's simplify square root of 4 first. So we get 2, and then we're left with square root of 2, which we cannot simplify because it's already in its simplest form. Now we need to circle everything that's left over and multiply them together. So we have 3 and 2 and square root of 2. 3 multiplied by 2 gives us 6, and then we multiply that by the square root of 2 to get the final answer of 6 square root 2. Now let's move on to our final question, question 3. Express the square root of 90 in its simplest form. We follow the same rules and find two factors which multiply together to get 90. We have the square root of 9 and the square root of 10, and we always start with the easier one. So square root of 9 gives us 3, and then we are left with square root of 10. Now a lot of you are thinking we need to break this down as well. However, this is actually in its simplest form, and I'll show you why. Let's say, for argument's sake, we break this down. So we find two factors which multiply together to get 10. and we get square root of 5 and square root of 2. We can see that we cannot break either of them down. So when we do the final step, which is to multiply all of those which are remaining, i.e. the 3, the square root of 5 and the square root of 2, we get 3 square root 10. That is why we leave it at the square root of 10. But if you did the extra step just to check, you wouldn't lose any marks. In fact, you would actually be more likely to get the answer correct and avoid any factors being missed out. So there we have it, guys. 3 examples on how to simplify basic surds. We find the factors until we can no longer break it down, and then we multiply all of the numbers which are remaining. Now it's time to put your knowledge to the test and answer the bonus question. Simplify the square root of 108 to its most simplest form and leave your answer in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you understood the basics of surds, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.